Welcome to No Nonsense Nonprofits. Hi, I'm Sandy Ray, founder of Sandra E. Ray CPA, where we alleviate financial headaches so that you can create a bigger impact. And really, that's what we're talking about today, is creating a bigger impact with mergers and acquisitions, and why you may want to consider that as an option for you. Now, last week we talked mostly about mergers. This week, I want to have you consider an acquisition. So, for example, two nonprofits, nonprofit one, nonprofit two. Nonprofit one has great programs and or some really wonderful, talented people, but they're struggling to get financial support. Nonprofit number two has a great funding network. They're financially stable. Their mission is very similar to nonprofit number one. But nonprofit two is struggling to coordinate services for their constituents. And they're looking for a better way to do that or provide additional services. So nonprofit number one is in a position to be acquired by nonprofit number two. And this can serve both organizations. Nonprofit number one gets the financial stability that they were looking for. And nonprofit number two has acquired additional programming and talented staff that will impact both organizations' constituents and hopefully create a better, more meaningful experience for all of the constituents for both organizations. So let's talk about why we want to do that. And I kind of alluded to that in the example. The first one is an ongoing financial struggle. Now, last week with mergers, we said this is not a reason for a merger, but maybe it is a reason for an acquisition. Because financial struggles for an organization equal its inability to meet their financial goals. Or you may even be facing closing your doors, quite honestly. And then you have these constituents who still need services that you provide. By being absorbed by a financially stable nonprofit, you can solve these problems by gaining access to more funds and resources. And the other entity should continue to serve your constituents. So there should be a mechanism where your constituents are still being served. That's a big part of this and why you would agree to that. The second reason is not maybe you're not on the verge of closing your doors, but you are struggling with sustainable funding. Smaller nonprofit organizations, as we know, struggle with funding from grantors because, we don't get the big grants because we don't have the audits. We haven't proven our financial stability or our sustainability over years to come, or even by other donors. They want to know that their investment is in an organization that's going to actually fulfill the mission and impact the community. Again, lacking sustainable funding can impact how you serve your constituents. You may have to not hire the talent that you would really like to hire, or you may have to cut back on supplies, or you might have to be more creative with things. This all could impact your constituents and how they're served. And then by merging or being acquired, you can access a greater donor network. You can access to additional funding sources like grants, because that acquiring entity may already have those audits completed for grant applications. They may already have relationships with grantors. Those are things that you need as a smaller organization. Maybe you haven't been able to invest in at this point because your resources are limited. The acquiring organization will give you access to more staff and hopefully access to expertise in areas that you don't have right now. It could give you access to a larger volunteer base, if that's what your organization needs, and probably even a volunteer coordinator. So we have someone who's letting those volunteers know where they need to serve or where they can serve to create a bigger impact for the constituents. And then we have a shared organizational structure, which, as we all know, can lead to less overhead costs. So that's our third reason to be acquired or merge, is your operational costs are too high. Number one, office space. You could eliminate the cost related to occupancy of a space. You could eliminate it, or both entities could come together. There may be a reason why the acquiring organization wants to keep that space. Maybe they want a satellite space, but that is a possibility to consider. Where is the team going to be located? Other areas where combining to reduce cost or acquiring more expertise for the same cost include our advertising and our marketing team, our social media managers, our marketing team. They can do things for both entities. Our fundraising team, we're going to be fundraising for both entities now, and we could coordinate that into one team. It may require a bigger team, but we're going to have that ability to mix those talents together. Additionally, our management team and our HR services for our employees, we're going to be able to, we're creating a bigger team, but then we're also going to have people with more expertise from a larger organization who already has that infrastructure. And then our accounting team, again, that we're going to have more expertise in that area with a larger organization, and probably able to accommodate some things that we haven't been able to do with our accounting function. And then probably the most important thing when considering an acquisition is the overlapping of our programs, services, and missions. This is the best reason for a merger, and really for an acquisition, this is really critical to make the acquisition successful. It may remove some, quote, competition that the two entities have had for services or for constituents, but it also allows us to coordinate services for our constituents for a better outcome for them. And that leads us into reason number 5, creating a greater capacity for a bigger impact. By combining services and talent, you can serve more constituents. You can serve the same constituents in a coordinated manner. And that impact is much better than the two entities separately. Now, an acquisition or a merger may be what's best for your organization, but it's important that you do your due diligence. You're going to have financial reviews or audits, legal reviews. You need to look at the comprehensive risks and benefits of the merger or the acquisition. I mean, come up with this detailed plan of what you plan to do. And also consider public perception. That public perception is going to either help this merger or acquisition and the new entity be so successful, or it's going to kill it. One of the two. So make sure that the public perception is in a positive light, and that everyone sees how this can benefit our community more than it will cause damage for the loss of the two entities. I hope this was helpful for you today. If you have any questions on this topic or other topics, please put it in the comment section below. We always appreciate your likes, and thank you for joining me today. Remember, creating a bigger impact starts with stopping the nonsense. If you're dealing with nonsense in your nonprofit organization, we'd love to help you cut through the noise.